Hey guys, tonight we're diving into something more chaotic than your last party hosted by a friend with a questionable supply of vintage snacks. The nightlife of the 1970s. And trust me, this party had it all. Glitz, glam, and more questionable decisions than a game of musical chairs played blindfolded. So before you sink into your pillows and prepare for some aspartame-fueled dreams, take a moment to like this video and subscribe. But only if you actually enjoy what I'm doing here, no pressure. And don't forget to leave a comment telling me where you're tuning in from and what time it is for you. It's always amusing to see who's staying up past their bedtime. Now, dim those lights, turn on a fan for that soothing hum, and make sure those toes are tucked in, because you never know when a disco fever might strike. Let's ask ourselves some questions to fully immerse in this nostalgic trip. Ever wonder what it's like to dance on a table to disco music while awkwardly questioning your life choices? What on earth was actually in those colourful cocktails? How much hairspray do you need to survive the day without looking like a raccoon? And can we talk about the sheer amount of polyester involved? Well, congratulations folks. You've just been zapped into the year 1977, where the bass is heavy, the hairstyles defy gravity, and you might just lose a shoe on the dance floor. Buckle up. The air is electric with pulsating disco beats and the unmistakable sound of clinking glasses. You're surrounded by glittering balls reflecting lights like 1,000 tiny suns. This is the sound of the 1970s nightlife. Enter the era of the disco ball, where every vinyl spinning was an invitation to party like the world might implode at any minute. You find yourself mentally preparing for an onslaught of sound so utterly overwhelming that it might as well be the audio version of a roller coaster. Ever wonder how many ways you can be disoriented by a beat? Spoiler alert. A lot. Picture this. The bass thundering through your ribcage like an angry neighbour, the kind that drops a bunch of weights on the floor at 2 AM just to let everyone know he's manly enough to hold a grudge. As you bob your head and shuffle your feet, you think back to how every single night felt like a suspenseful movie scene where you're the main character, endlessly spinning in disco-tinged slow motion. The dance floor isn't just a place to lose control. It's a stage, especially for those majestic few who profess to have perfected the disco duck. That's right. Hide your faces, because no matter how terribly it looks, someone's taking these vibes very, very seriously. Between the beats and the neon lights, songs by the Bee Gees and Earth, wind and fire swirl around you like a sugary fog, wrapping you in melodies that make you forget about, well, just about everything. Like that awful haircut you thought was edgy. It's the kind of music that begs you to let loose until you're whipping your arms around like spaghetti tossed by an enthusiastic chef. You know what? Who cares if you look like an octopus on roller skates? In this world, losing your dignity is just part of the fun. As you navigate the animated crowd, you spot the DJ, poised like some kind of electronic shaman, turning various knobs and flipping switches as if he's about to summon a wave of pure joy. Ever wonder how many buttons it takes to create a memorable night? For him, it might be 43 different faders and at least one secret handshake with the disco gods. At least that's what it looks like, because despite his impressive repertoire, it's possible he's just spinning the same 2 records in a loop while trying to uphold the illusion of ultimate power. Let's talk about drink orders, because what's a disco without a signature beverage? You glance towards the bar, where the bartender skillfully juggles different coloured cocktails like a mad scientist. Is that bright pink concoction actually a liquid? Or is it merely an abstract representation of a fruit salad eager to party? The names are just as wild. The Disco Inferno, the Funky Monkey, or even a drink referred to simply as, "Are you sure you want that?" A tough question to grapple with amid the festivity, especially when you're already 4 cocktails deep. Now, let's not forget about the legendary dance-offs. As you swivel and sway, a spurt of competitive energy lights up your spirit, as if you've channeled the ancient wisdom of the legendary disco dancers. You suddenly feel every fibre of your being yelling, "It's time to put your moves to the test." The excitement grows as two brave souls step into the spotlight, squaring off like gladiators in an arena. They twirl, spin, and execute questionable leaps that defy logic while the audience shrieks with delight. An adrenaline-infused battle of rhythm and style that feels like the Super Bowl of dancing. And somewhere in the haze of glitter and euphoria, you hear the sound of laughter, that intoxicating soundtrack of camaraderie. Meeting new friends feels effortless. Everyone is chugging positivity like it's the latest trend. In this frenzied wonderland of "did that just happen?" moments, there's an unspoken understanding that you're all in it together. It almost feels like you've joined a secret society of joyous hedonism, where the membership fee is simply the willingness to dance without a care. As you bask in the vibrant energy of the 1970s nightclub, just know that beneath all this fabulousness, there's an undeniable current of nostalgia creeping in. One day, those glimmering lights and booming beats will fade into the past. But for now, you revel in the moment, caught between today's lyrics and tomorrow's memories, all while dancing like the world might indeed end at any moment. So, throw your hands up, embrace the chaos, and let the soundtrack of excess take you on an unforgettable journey. Because here in the 70s, all that matters is you, the dance floor, and that velvet rope waiting to be crossed. As you glance around, your eyes land on more sequins than a tinsel factory explosion. Bright colours, polyester fabrics, and bell-bottoms that could give you an unexpected boost in confidence. It's a fashion revolution, and here you are, awash in the audacity of outfits that can probably double as emergency flares. The sheer volume of fabric used during this era could probably have clothed an army. With every shimmy on the dance floor, there's a crackle, a pop, and an undeniable dazzle that might even be mistaken for fireworks. Seriously, if you trip over a disco ball only to end up in a compact ball of glittering sequins, you wouldn't be surprised. Now, let's talk about that hair for a second. The hairstyles of the 70s often defied gravity with a mind of their own. Big, bigger and biggest was the rule of the day, as hairspray distributors probably celebrated windfall profits in their earnings reports. Imagine a world where one wrong move could send you flying into a wall of curls, every strand acting as a bungee cord, ready to snap back into chaos at a moment's notice. There were times when you weren't quite sure if you were dancing with your friend or a new species of plant. You spot a group of women wearing outfits so tight they must be engineered with nanotechnology. You can barely breathe just looking at them. Every inch screams defiance of both comfort and practicality. Spaghetti straps give way to plunging necklines, while platform shoes seem like they're preparing for a NASA mission. You wonder how many ankles are broken in the pursuit of looking fabulous. Is it worth it? One wrong step, and you might shoot up into the stratosphere, leaving a shimmering trail of rhinestones in your wake. Speaking of shoes, can we take a moment to appreciate the sheer absurdity of platform shoes? They're like mini skyscrapers for your feet, so much elevation that you could give your local telephone pole some serious competition. Wearing them is like walking on stilts in an emotional circus. You ponder the logistics. Who invented these things? Because it seems like a fashionista with an unquenchable thirst for height got busy with a hammer and an extra dose of ambition. Fortunately, there's no knitting on the catwalk tonight, so you dance fearless, taking risks like you're auditioning for a role in Footloose 2, Electric Boogaloo. And the accessories? My goodness, it's a veritable treasure chest of madness. Chunky bracelets that jingle like a marching band vying for your attention, oversized sunglasses that could double as windshield shades, and hats so wide they could block out the sun. If someone had said, "Hey, let's make hats that can also serve as umbrellas for entire gatherings," they definitely could have struck gold. You chuckle at a passing lady adorned with a headpiece that looks like it came straight from a pillow fight gone horribly wrong. But wait, you can't forget the men's fashion either, with their high-waisted trousers and collars so wide they could catch the evening breeze. They're out to redefine stylish comfort. It's like every bachelor had just walked out of a time capsule stocked full of throwback looks, ready to take on the disco scene with varying degrees of success. You can't tell if that inexperience on the dance floor is due to the height of their collars, or if it's just the price of fashion. Who needs agility when you have flair? And as you glance at your own ensemble, you embrace the panoply of contradictions. It's both brilliant and ridiculous. You remember your status as a simultaneously out of place yet completely in tune jester of the night. This party is a tapestry of vibrant threads stitched together with nothing but a fondness for outrageous shapes and colours. It's freedom, creativity, and a big old middle finger to the mundane world of dull office wear. With each awkward twirl and spontaneous dance, you silently applaud the boldness of a generation that dared to shine so bright it made foghorns look like nightlights. Life, after all, is a stage, and here in this dimly lit, glitter-filled nightclub, everyone gets their moment to shine, no matter how flammable the fashion may be. It's time to investigate the beverages fueling this raucous revelry. Here cocktails are concocted with more colours than a Crayola 64 pack, and probably just as toxic. You ponder the existential question. Do you gulp down a midnight rainbow or stick with the classic camo margarita that tastes vaguely like cough syrup and regret? As you scan the bar, an overwhelming array of options greets you, each drink looking like it has its own personality. One decked out in neon pink with an umbrella, another glowing a sickly green like it's just crawled out of a radioactive swamp. Welcome to the cocktail crisis. A bartender sporting a moustache that could double as a small fur animal begins throwing ingredients into a shaker with all the precision of a caffeinated octopus. He sprinkles in a colourful dusting of what might be mystery sprinkles. Never mind that the last time you saw something that colour was when someone tried to share a spicy jello shot. With a flourish, he finishes the drink, handing you a glass adorned with a slice of something that resembles a fruit, but you can't quite place it. Is this a real fruit or a synthetic lab creation from the depths of an 8th grade science fair? Questions like this feel essential. Still, it's hard not to feel compelled to taste this liquid time bomb of fun. You brace yourself and take a sip. The blast of flavours rolls over your taste buds like a summer festival gone awry. Is that passion fruit or just pure chaos in a glass? It's electrifying. You didn't think your mouth could do the Macarena, but now it's throwing itself a party as bright colours dance across your palate. And just like that, an idea strikes you. Is every insane sip you take an adventure or a regrettable decision waiting to happen? Suddenly the bartender catches your eye, pointing to a bottle labelled Flaming Phantom, and gives you a wink. You're not sure you're ready to handle anything that sounds like it escaped a haunted house. But peer pressure is real, and before you can think, you've ordered 2. The first is served double-fisted with a cherry on top, sparking like it's about to launch into orbit. You gulp it down, expecting the immediate burst of flavours to overwhelm you, but instead it's surprisingly pleasant, tinged with a note of, why did I think this was a good idea initially? As the evening rolls on, you start to notice a pattern. Every drink has a glowing shimmer, like a disco party in a glass. You overhear folks approaching the bar with a mix of confidence and sheer desperation, asking for drink specials as if they were making a financial investment. You share a laugh with another reveller who orders a bad decision daiquiri. a concoction swirled in questionable blues and greens likely crafted in honour of poor life choices. A tribute to having won too many at the club. What better way to bond than by sharing future hangover stories? But that brings to mind a crucial question. What's the hangover protocol for this situation? Your imagination immediately flashes to headaches and stomach pains as vividly as your neon straw. Ever tried to recover from a disco death cocktail's consequences while soft roaring one's regrets? Yeah, you'd likely rather not. Meanwhile, the cherry on top of your flaming phantom has disappeared into the depths of your rapidly rising drink. Just a reminder of the regret-laden path ahead. But you bravely take another sip, and with that suddenly feel more alive. A wild concoction of sugar and adrenaline is coursing through your veins. Is this the euphoria of youthful resilience, or have you just managed to successfully convince yourself that this is how living truly feels? With a growing sense of wonder and slight confusion, you look around at the luminous faces of fellow partygoers, all tangled up in laughter and shades of dizzying euphoria. The drinks may not exactly be sophisticated, but they're definitely filled with joy. If joy feels as chaotic as juggling fire at a carnival, no one here is nursing the weight of existential dread. Instead, they embody a kaleidoscope of life, each sip a daring adventure wrapped in adventure, but guided by the ultimate goal: to remember these thrills or forget them completely come brunch time. The bartender, now practically an alchemist, pulls off another amazing concoction as you hoist your glass. Cheers to the drinks that bring us together, colour our nights, and possibly induce a grand awakening, or simply a headache that sounds like a marching band performing a symphony of regret in your head. As you sip the final dregs of your flaming phantom, you can't help but laugh. What chaos awaits next? After all, with cocktails like these, every adventure feels like a testimony to living boldly, a pledge made with neon colours, fun umbrellas, and questionable decisions. Every swirl, every sip is another notch in your disco belt of memories. And who knows what kind of wild stories you'll be trading tomorrow. The dance floor is a pulsating sea of humanity, with some brave souls actually dancing on tables as if it were completely normal. Ever wondered what kind of gymnastics are needed to get up there without breaking a leg? Or worse, a platform shoe? Spoiler, it's not pretty, and there's a good chance that at least one person is going to crash down dramatically. Lights flicker above, reflecting off a sea of sequins and hairspray, and each shimmery surface is a potential stage for the untamed spirit of the 70s. Your heart races as you weave through the throngs of dancers, feeling the magnetic pull of raucous laughter and catchy disco beats blasting from the speakers. Now, before you make a run for a table, let's think this through. You're about to leap into a high-risk acrobatic routine fueled by an excess of cheap cocktails. First, you might want to measure the height of the table. Is it a flimsy bar table that could barely hold a drink and a stack of napkins? Or has someone secured a dining table from the nearest banquet hall, with its dubious balance and maybe even a little bit of grease from last night's cold pizza? These are important points to consider. With all the courage of someone who's just lost their last ounce of shame, you find your footing. But wait, what's that? Someone is attempting to rock the funky chicken, and it looks like a scene straight out of a nature documentary. Watch as the species known as Club Gurus showcases the folly of its mating dances. Your table suddenly feels more like a precarious dance floor in an obstacle course of bad decisions. You wonder how many of these performers have taken a tumble, and if they'll even remember tomorrow. Meanwhile, the crowd below is ready to catch you with a mixture of enthusiasm and horror. Let's catch 'em sounds like a fun idea until you realise half of them are merely trying to capture your triumphant ascent on their phones. As you prepare to bust your best moves, a voice in the back of your mind screams, "Safety first!" But really, Who is thinking about safety when the sweet, sweet music of temptation sounds so loud? Not to mention, those platform shoes are practically designed for a spectacular wipeout. The first few awkward steps are a mixture of grace and tragic ballet, as you lift an arm in what you hope looks like a seductive whirl, but about 3 seconds in, you're really just gesturing wildly like a seagull trying to avoid a plate of fries. You glance down and the realization hits. Why didn't anyone warn you that a table isn't a stage? Wood isn't exactly forgiving, and your feet seem more like a shipwreck waiting to happen on this water slide of commercial-grade varnish. As other brave souls decide to join you, it becomes a dance party light, years above the chaos of dropped drinks and spilled secrets below. It's a realm where gravity is merely a suggestion, knowing laughter is the soundtrack, and a minor accident may just involve someone rediscovering their dignity, or lack thereof. But if dancing on tables sounds like the glamorous life, hold onto your wigs, because things are about to get sticky. Suddenly, your friend insta-wants in on the action, and tries to jump up to join you. Spoiler alert, she barely makes it. With flailing limbs resembling a toddler on roller skates, she makes a mildly heroic attempt to grab onto the edge for support, only to send a glass of vibrant blue slush cascading through the air. You can almost see the slow-motion betrayal in her face as liquid glory showers the unsuspecting crowd. The sight of 2 partygoers wearing unintentional blueberry hats might just spark a dance-off between them, turning into a symbolic return of innocence lost when booze collides with bad decisions. And who could forget the moment when you realise that your platform shoes have become an inadvertent weapon, sending one overly enthusiastic dancer over the edge in a spectacular twist of fate. By now, the table has transformed into an unholy mix of dance mat, kitchen bar and comedy skit. Laughter bounces back, and the audience, the sole producers of this impromptu performance, egg on the shenanigans like cheering fans at the world's weirdest sporting event. It feels like our modern-day Bard's Tale, where the only rule is that it's all fun and games until someone loses a shoe, and just like that you find yourself fully immersed in the spirit of the night, forgetting the world of responsibilities, people, and a highly destabilized table beneath you. Ultimately, it's a lesson learned. Let loose, dance freely, and revel in the absurdity of it all. After all, it's a night to be remembered, or not. One outrageous table dance at a time. Just don't forget to stretch and check your grip before the next round, because in Nightlife the show must go on, but with your shoes intact. Welcome to the grand temples of Nightlife, the nightclubs. Cranked up speakers blast music while the scent of cheap cologne and questionable decisions hangs thick in the air. Each club is a unique ecosystem, where the air conditioning fights a losing battle against sweat and bad decisions, creating a fog of the finest transgressions. As you step inside, it's like entering a kaleidoscope of colour, rhythm and eccentricity, and you immediately realise this isn't just a place. It's a full-on spectacle of delightful chaos. First things first, the entrance. You've probably experienced the ritualistic wait outside, where the bouncer, a mountain of a man wearing sunglasses at night, because aesthetics matter, studies you like a rare painting in an art gallery. You're left wondering if his nod is an acceptance or merely an invitation to keep moving. You can never be sure. And if it really is the latter, well, you argue with yourself that it's not worth the trauma of rejection written over your favourite outrageously tacky outfit. As you finally enter the dark cave of vibrant sin, you can't help but marvel at the decor. Neon lights, reflective glass, and a dance floor that resembles a disco inferno. You might think it's pretty mild, until you catch a glimpse of the DJ booth, where the selector is infinite. He is the conductor of this electric orchestra. The crowd pulses like an overstimulated heart, reacting to the beats as if they were the very pulse of life itself. Ever tried to match your moves to a song that can only be described as the soundtrack of poor decisions? It's like participating in a very public game of Twister, but with more fog and fewer conscious choices. You grab a drink, a cocktail probably named something like Sex on the Beach, or Blue Lagoon, that tastes like it was blended on a roller coaster. With each sip, you start to question just how many ounces of vodka are really in there. After all, we're just here to unwind, right? And somehow, the more sugary concoctions you down, the more convinced you become that you too could become the next Whitney Houston, belting out power ballads between swigs. As the music transitions into an upbeat classic, someone begins an impromptu line dance, because of course they would. Why would you fight against the collective need for synchronized movements in this hive of disco magic? You join in reluctantly but realize mid-series of questionable moves that you've never actually been to dance school. Not to worry. Tonight, self-confidence is your best accessory. While glancing at the mesmerizing lights cascading through the fog, you spot an overzealous dancer wearing roller skates, clearly on a mission to single-handedly redefine the very notion of dance floor. He's spinning and twirling with such gusto that you begin to reconsider your choice of footwear. The way he hops from one bright patch of light to another feels eerily reminiscent of an overcaffeinated grasshopper on speed. You can't help but admire his gusto, but for you? Those heavy platform shoes start to feel more like miniature anvils. What was once stylish immediately becomes a recipe for disaster. To spice things up, a sudden scene unfolds as someone spills a drink, probably an all too familiar "sorry, didn't see you there" incident. But instead of a quiet apology, a theatrical showdown erupts that would put a Broadway musical to shame. Friends rally behind their respective party members like a medieval jousting match, but without the horses and way more glitter. How did you end up in this viral moment just by chuckling in the corner? Watch out, last call is approaching. The DJ spins his last track, and the disco lights dim as the ganache of reality begins to settle in. People's delighted faces are now shadowed with bizarre confusion about their next steps. The expertly created tension between high-energy exuberance and the crushing notion of return to work tomorrow looms like a dark cloud. Dancing has been replaced with ill-timed shuffle step back to reality. This sudden, yet unavoidable transition proves fickle. The nighttime exuberance conflicts with the morning-after hangover you can feel brewing under the surface. As the fog lifts and the music settles into silence, you start to understand the beautiful chaos that is nightlife. You emerge from the nightclub blinking at the harsh streetlights as if awakening from a vivid dream, grateful for the laughter, the moves, and the stories. The truth is, though this wild ride is over, you know it'll all be waiting for you again next week, like an inviting but dangerous acquaintance. The nightclub scene, a place where the echo of laughter lingers long after the last song ends, and a faint sense of belonging pulses beneath your skin. Ah, Studio 54, a mythical realm of glitz, glamour, and a door policy so exclusive it could rival a secret society. You find yourself scrutinizing the velvet ropes, wondering if you should flatter the bouncer with a smoothie recipe or bribe your way in with your best dance move. Could they actually reject someone wearing sequins? The fear of rejection looms like that last half-full bottle of vodka at a poorly stocked bar. Inside, you step into a kaleidoscope of humanity, where every inch of space is drenched in colourful lights and a soundtrack thumping loud enough to shake your skeleton. The sights, oh the sights, are a dizzying array of people in outrageously extravagant outfits, oscillating between disco chic and pure madness. One moment you're dazzled by a man in a cape that looks like it came straight from a glittery space opera, and the next, you stumble upon a woman who may or may not have been bred from a unicorn. Her iridescent ensemble glimmers in all directions, ripping a hole in reality as she dances. But it's not just the outrageous outfits that enthrall you, it's the sheer audacity of expression on the dance floor. Two people collide in a burst of laughter and gyration, and before you know it, they've transformed into a dance-off that rivals the Olympics, complete with a cheering crowd shouting encouragement and absurdities like, "You're the one, disco queen, and show 'em those killer moves, man." You think to yourself, if only life's challenges were answered with sequins and twirls. Forget the quiet, sombre gathering. Here, it's all about the party, a refuge for the flamboyant and the free-spirited. You realise the drinks might actually be drugged. Every sip tingles with the unpredictable zest of either an existential crisis or an epic night out. And why are you leaning on that random guy's shoulder with the massive platform shoes and sequined jumpsuit? You suspect he might be a poet reincarnated as a disco diva. Either way, you're all a part of this living tapestry, united by the mantra, dance like nobody's watching, but someone totally is. As you make your way toward the bar, you glance around at the throng of smug souls clad in outfits that scream, "Look at me." The bartender, a magnificent blend of strength and grace, mixes cocktails that bubble and fizz, worthy of a science fair. You decide on a drink adorned with a garnish so elaborate it could rival a circus performance. As you raise the glass, you ponder the philosophical implications of it potentially being more water than cocktail. Do you dare to question? Certainly not. Not here. In this realm, taste is subjective, but showmanship is key. Cackles of laughter erupt nearby, and you look over to see two minotaurs. Well, they're people dressed as minotaurs, but honestly, it's hard to tell when you haven't seen a proper face in half an hour. They're unintentionally musing on the possible whereabouts of their own horns, clearly past the point of no return in a kaleidoscope of absurdist revelry. But then, out of the blue, someone bumps into you. A charismatic stranger whose energy crackles like static electricity. They lean in close, half shouting above the music, "You've got to try the Monty Python." You blink, unsure if this is a new dance move, a drink or both, but the potential for fun distracts you from the existential dread of confusion. Life's all about the experiences you localize in your memory, right? If you make a fool of yourself here, you'll have a lifetime of stories to tell, unless the confusion leads to a regretful piece of really bad PR. Suddenly, the dance floor clears for a special performance. You can't help but wonder if it's going to be a contemporary ballet, or an interpretative disaster revolving around the deep implications of polyester. Instead, an outrageous drag queen struts onto the stage, radiating exuberance to the thunderous applause and cheers of the crowd. You can't help but lose yourself in the rhythm, whipping your arms about like an octopus responding to an existential crisis. That night, under the swirling, dizzying lights, and the weight of endless moments frozen in time, you realise there are no boundaries, only possibilities. Studio 54 is not just a nightclub. It's a fever dream guiding you further into the heart of absurdity, where laughter is the only currency worth spending, and the dance floor is a canvas for the wild strokes of life's most colourful tales. Here, you're not just witnessing nightlife, you're experiencing an epic you never knew you witnessed, dancing until the sun rises, with the world's disappointment replaced by the glow of exhilaration. What a time to be alive! What a time to be fabulous! You spot the glitterati floating around like rare butterflies, famous actors, singers, and who knows who else, each wielding an ego larger than their entourage. You ponder if, rather than being famous, the real aspiration was just being able to throw fabulous parties and still manage to look sensational while doing absolutely nothing. It's a curious balance of power and visibility, where everyone stands on a precarious ladder of fame, fighting to maintain their position while expertly hidden behind layers of makeup and designer attire. As you navigate the disco-infused chaos, you overhear snippets of conversations that are as ridiculous as they are fascinating. One luminous starlet, resplendent in sequins that could blind a lesser mortal, discusses her ongoing feud with a rival over who wore that exact same shade of pink first. And here you thought pink was a shade of tranquility. Clearly, in the realm of the infamous, it has transformed into a battleground for survival. Who knew colour clashing could escalate to international incidents? You chuckle at the absurdity of it all, as another celebrity nonchalantly describes the latest outrageous wellness trend. Apparently, breathing in artisanal mountain-flavoured air is the new detox. You can't help but marvel at how the bubble-wrapped elite navigate the world, suspended in a reality where their biggest worry is whether to order a fifth glass of champagne or take a quick barefoot run through an organic aloe vera patch for enlightenment. Remember when your biggest crisis was trying to assemble IKEA furniture without a manual? In the midst of the sparkling chaos, someone shouts, "Free shots at the bar!" Suddenly it's as if you dropped a bucket of confetti into a room full of toddlers. Bodies are thrown into a tizzy, arms flailing with wild abandon as social lines blur like an abstract painting. You see your favourite pop star, yes, the one with the hit single that has "Dance Party" written all over it, attempting to lead a conga line, only to veer off course in a burst of enthusiasm and accidentally body check a backup dancer. It's the kind of scene that feels like a scripted comedy sketch, perfectly encapsulating the glories and follies of celebrity life. And let's not skip over the buffet of remarkable hairstyles on display. Everywhere you turn, individuals sport hairdos standing 6 inches taller than their heads, defying gravity and common sense alike. You consider how much hairspray could possibly be involved in such princely proportions when a particularly flamboyant mullet catches your eye. You wonder if it's a fashion statement or a safe space for a small bird looking for a nesting site. Ah, the surreal wonders of nightlife. As the night unfolds, the club's atmosphere thickens with intrigue and a penchant for juicy gossip. You find yourself eavesdropping on a conversation between two well-coiffed socialites discussing their plans for next week's exclusive yacht race. "Darling, we simply can't go unless we have matching swimsuits. That's just common sense," one declares, leaning in conspiratorially as if sharing state secrets. You stifle a laugh at the ridiculousness, realizing you could craft a gripping drama just based on their exaggerated lives. All around you, the air buzzes with the cocktail of ambition, vanity and creative energy, these stars competing for the next great it moment. This isn't just a party, it's a full-throttle spectacle of who can sparkle the hardest without actually doing any of the work. As the music pulses and arms sway, you begin to understand that from an outsider's perspective, this life rests precariously on the edge of surreal absurdity. You watch, mesmerized, as a certain A-list actor takes center stage not to perform, but to act out an emotionally charged version of an iconic movie scene right there on the dance floor. The unfiltered enthusiasm transforms into a spontaneous, albeit awkward, reenactment that brings on loud cheers and laughs. You're struck by how there's something genuinely captivating about the chaotically free spirit buzzing through the room. These people may seem larger than life, but in this moment, their vulnerabilities shine through clearer than their sequined outfits. In the world of disco, where chaos reigns supreme and outrageous decisions often lead to viral fame, you can't help but feel a swell of warmth toward this colourful cacophony of characters. So, As you lift your glass and clink it disappointingly against an empty cocktail shaker, you acknowledge this mad wonderland of massive egos, their smiles, laughter, and dazzling displays, each one a glowing ember in the grand fire of this high-energy spectacle. Where everyone is a star and no one is too shy to shine, this is precisely what nightlife in the 1970s was all about. The dizzying whirl of fame, chaos, and the relentless pursuit of fun. Time to embrace those funky moves. You find yourself recalling the disco dances that could rival Olympic routines, the hustle, the bump, and whatever other bizarre thing you just witnessed that looks strangely similar to an interpretive seizure. Can you keep up? Or will you just embarrass yourself trying to recreate that leg kick? As you survey the dance floor, a kaleidoscope of bodies twist, turn and twirl, embodying the very spirit of the era, a frenzied celebration of a life that feels both exhilarating and alarming. The hustle is the undisputed crowd pleaser, a dance that flows like water and requires the agility of a gazelle and the brain power of a chess master. Part two-step, part cha-cha, a whole lot of shoulder shimmying. It's the perfect blend of skill and sparkle. As you attempt to join in, you quickly realise that your two left feet are working overtime, and your balance is a delicate negotiation that may or may not involve a lot of hand-waving, akin to a windmill trying to take flight. Ever tried to put your arms above your head while shimmying? It's like a combination of aerobics class and a gymnastic routine gone wrong. A spectacle that could only be rivaled by someone attempting to land a cartwheel after a few too many tequila shots. And just as you think you've mastered the hustle, the bump reveals itself. Two people collide with all the finesse of beach balls trapped in a wind tunnel, bouncing off each other with loud, gleeful touches. At first, you're tempted to embrace the hilarity and treat it as a form of social interaction. But let's be real, are we bonding over synchronised hip bumps, or just regretting every decision that led to this moment? You awkwardly shove your hips toward your partner while trying to maintain eye contact, wondering if there's an unwritten rule about needing to smile during these collisions. Spoiler alert, there isn't. It's all about the rhythm of the perfect bump, a merry dance that fuses flavour with a touch of strain and approaches the elegance of a lumberjack competition. As you teeter on the brink of disco bliss, panic sets in when you realise you're face to face with the infamous 70s slide. Yes, the one that's claimed many a dance floor and yet appears so deceptively simple. Left foot, right foot, scoot, and... oh wait, did you just accidentally elbow the lady behind you? Apologies ensue as you flail backward like a startled cat, only to find yourself slipping gracefully into a two-step cha-cha of embarrassment. But the crowd is forgiving, because in this realm of flamboyant revelry, everyone is a jitterbug in their own chaotic way, grabbing their neon moment while attempting not to trip over the sheer enthusiasm of it all. With each rhythmic sway, you nod respectfully to the more seasoned pros, those luminaries of the dance floor who've locked in moves that defy logic. Ever seen someone who looks like they stepped out of a time machine, with moves so slick they could host their own how-to series? You can't resist the urge to observe in admiration, wondering where they keep their stash of magic dancing powder. It's like they were born wearing silver bell-bottoms and carrying a disco ball in their pocket. You remind yourself to take notes, but mostly just enjoy the spectacle while nursing your own cocktail. An existential mix of pineapple juice and something you're pretty sure has a glittery logo. But as the night rolls on, you discover the bittersweet truth. Each style carries its own rebellious spirit. Maybe it's about the freedom to be ridiculous. You find yourself thinking of the Macarena, a simpler yet equally chaotic dance that literally got everyone involved, regardless of skill level. It's the sort of thing that with enough alcohol can unite even the most rhythmically challenged among you. Grab a friend, align those arms, everyone gets a turn, and suddenly, you feel like you're channeling your inner rock star, no coordination required. As the final notes of Stayin' Alive pulse through your ears, you realise these dance styles aren't just steps, they're powerful expressions of a generation. Who cares if you stumble, or if a leg kick shatters the illusion of grace? In moments of laughter and slightly embarrassing twirls, you discover a euphoric dose of pure joy. So you keep dancing, even if the moves look suspiciously like a very public interpretation of fly fishing meets bad decisions. You've successfully participated in the great disco tradition, all flash, all flare, and a touch of whirling nonsense that has somehow woven you into the vibrant tapestry of now. It appears that poor life choices were as much a part of 70s nightlife as the music. Was it the cocktails, the DJ's playlist, or the sheer audacity of youth? You laugh at the thought of tomorrow's headlines featuring someone's glorious missteps. After all, the news often remained as drunk as the patrons at the bar. In this kaleidoscopic world of sequins and fringe, every decision felt like a roller coaster ride with both exhilaration and regret as your trusty companions. Picture this. You're standing amidst swaying bodies, each one dressed more colourfully than a box of Pop-Tarts, when a friend challenges you to try the house special, a concoction called the acid trip. The bartender, whose hairstyle looks like it escaped from a 1970s sci-fi movie, slings together a bizarre blend of neon liquors that could probably glow in the dark. Before you know it, you're downing the drink, and in a shocking turn of events, you realise you now have a one-way ticket to Regret City. The concoction tastes like what you'd imagine a melted popsicle mixed with regret, and a hint of self-loathing might taste like. Who knew the colour chartreuse could taste this bad? And as your vision begins to blur with the dizzying lights, suddenly, the dance floor becomes a battleground of questionable decisions. You witness someone attempting the Macarena but ending up more like an octopus in a blender. It's not long before you find a friend trying very hard to impress a stranger, maybe the future love of their life, or perhaps simply a future embarrassing anecdote. Either way, it's considerable chaos, as they engage in what could only be described as dance floor acrobatics, but without the acrobatic skill, or coordination, for that matter. You watch, half in horror and half in amusement, as a full bowl of nachos takes flight during a particularly exaggerated spin. Those cheesy chips soar through the air, momentarily defying gravity like a glorious food-related metaphor for the evening itself. You can't help but wonder how this night will go down in the annals of friendship history. Remember when we were young, fell in love with life, and launched nachos like confetti? You can practically hear the collective groan of stomachs when someone mentions the infamous sloppy taco special. It's 2 a.m. How bad could it be? That sounds like a misjudgment that requires a cautionary tale. Yet here you are, dutifully following the herd, elbowing your way through a line that resembles a human caterpillar, all while swaying to the beats that insist on keeping the fun alive, along with your questionable snack choices. As the night unfolds, it becomes a shining example of human folly. In dimly lit corners, heartfelt confessions are exchanged over drinks poured with reckless abandon, and inside jokes are born that nobody will remember in the morning. A group debate ignites over who has the worst haircut, but it takes a dramatic pivot when someone reveals a hairstyle from a bygone era, complete with a mullet so bad it has its own Instagram account. The laughter echoes louder than the bass, creating an atmosphere where bad decisions swirl like those colourful cocktails. Eventually, as the clock rolls toward dawn, you find yourself waiting for a taxi with your friends, wondering how you're still standing after that many dance-offs. Suddenly, a philosophical debate emerges about what constitutes a perfectly good life decision. Spoiler alert, none of you can seem to agree on whether 6 shots of rum counted as a win, or a slippery slope into eternal embarrassment. One brave soul declares it's simply living your best life. Your logic is questionable, but at this hour, who's keeping score? And just like that, the taxi arrives, the door swings open, and it's a battle of wills to claim the front seat. I'm not sitting next to the air conditioner, that's a death penalty. But somehow, everyone ends up snuggled together, squished like sardines as the driver blares late-night radio hits, and you sing along like you're auditioning for a band that died in 1975. Rolling down the windows during the ride, you feel the cool breeze rush in, like a swift reminder that life, while full of bad choices, can also be exhilarating. But here's the kicker. This ridiculous night of bad decisions has forged bonds you wouldn't trade for anything. You might not remember all the details come morning, but the laughter, the snorts, and the hastily made memories cemented in the nostalgia of youth will stay with you forever. So, as you drive into the sunrise, feeling like a modern-day Robinson Crusoe, you ponder this. Sometimes, amid the chaos of poor life choices, you discover that good times are often made from the most disastrous decisions. And isn't that the essence of living? As sweaty bodies dance, it's not long before someone decides to set the floor ablaze. Not literally, but the metaphorical heat is undeniable. The dance floor grows hotter, and so do the dance battles, as friends turn foes in the quest for ultimate disco supremacy, as if there was a crown for best spinning moves. In this swirling universe of sequins and polyester, camaraderie can quickly shift into fierce competition. But let's be honest, if you didn't accidentally elbow your best friend in a spontaneous boogie, did you even party? You survey the floor as slow-motion chaos unfolds. One dancer attempts a spin that defies the laws of physics, flinging their limbs in a manner that would leave a clumsy octopus embarrassed. With a flourish, they somehow manage to sweep another dancer off their feet, sending them sliding across the polished surface like a poorly executed slapstick gag. A group of onlookers erupts in laughter, and just for a moment, you consider whether this is a dance-off or an audition for an ill-fated reality show. Survivor, Disco Floor Edition, definitely has a ring to it. Next to you, a duo attempts to outdo each other with signature moves. There's the classic The Robot, muddled with what can only be described as distracted Walmart shopper. Someone shouts, "You call that a spin?" But the truth is, the line between finesse and catastrophe is razor thin. You can almost feel the tension crackle in the air as they ascend the thrilling staircase of interconnected limbs and exuberance. Meanwhile, the DJ has assumed the role of the god of this dystopian disco realm. They wield their mixing skills like a sorcerer casting spells, seamlessly transitioning from a groovy Bee Gees track to the pulsating beats of Donna Summer, driving the crowd wild. Each bass drop reverberates through your body, awakening those delightful instincts lost amid the everyday grind. It's a call to arms, a call to shimmy, shake, and gleefully abandon all dignity. But let's face it, if this is a dance inferno, we're all just moths drawn to the glittering flame of embarrassment. Everyone's here for their moment, and the barometer of danceability skyrockets. Friends jostle for space, unleashing anywhere between spontaneous jazz hands and full-on interpretive dance routines that can only be described as an emotional roller coaster. What's next? A slow, sultry tango amidst the chaos of disco. A couple attempts it, gliding over the floor with the grace of a gazelle, while the rest of the crowd careens into a flailing cartwheel competition. You half expect the music to morph into a frantic game show soundtrack, as goofy games and awkward encounters become the unofficial entertainment of the evening, and just when you think it can't possibly escalate, someone yells, "Conga line!" Suddenly a chain of glittering humanity snakes across the dance floor. Depending on how many drinks you've had, it's either the most exhilarating adventure or the terrors of social conformity rolled into one massive conga-themed horror show. You laugh as the bodies from the dance floor collide and twist together, creating a colourful tapestry of disco fever. Is that a stranger trying to convince you to dance like a chicken? You can't be sure anymore. The lights pulse as if synchronized with your rapidly beating heart, while disco balls rotate overhead like celestial bodies caught in an orbital fashion show. The atmosphere drips with sweat, joy, and maybe a hint of regret. But who cares? Regrets are reserved for tomorrow's hangover. Tonight is about living in the moment. You glance around and can't help but marvel at the sheer ridiculousness of it all. Colourful wigs, gaudy jumpsuits, and more rhinestones than a bedazzled craft box. Eventually the dance battles morph into a free-for-all of communal chaos. People of all ages, shapes and sizes hurl themselves onto the floor, bodies colliding and limbs negotiating space like an elaborate game of Twister gone terribly wrong. You spy an older gentleman in a sequined blazer, surrounded by a group of friends who cheer him on while he does what may or may not be classified as the disco chicken. With laughter in the air and bodies moving in unison, you realise this inferno of dance isn't just a party, it's a celebration. It's about connection, about experiencing the delightful absurdity of human expression, whether it's perfectly on beat, wildly out of sync, or just shy of embarrassing. A conqueror of the dance floor emerges tonight. So, when the final song fades and the lights dim, you leave with a cherished memory of twirling in this swirling inferno, one that reminds you that life is meant to be a wild dance, even when you're stepping on toes. Suddenly the dance floor feels like a vibrant classroom. Here you learn important life lessons, such as always wear shoes you can run in, or never trust a stranger who offers you a mystery cocktail. It's a survive or thrive situation wrapped in neon lights and laughter, with the undercurrent of pure chaos. You become acutely aware that the pulse of the music is more than just a beat. It's life echoing around you, reminding you that spontaneity is key. Catch someone's eye as you bust out your best dance move? Congratulations. You've just entered the game of social interaction, which, much like a game of Jenga, might end up crashing down spectacularly. As you flail your limbs to the rhythm, dodging both fellow dancers and feelings of existential dread, important truths emerge. You soon realise that everyone around you is wrestling with their own brand of awkwardness and joy, each spiralling about in a sequined frenzy, just trying to grasp the elusive concept of cool. Soon, you chuckle at that one guy jigging wildly in the corner, his oversized platform shoes making sounds like a caffeinated elephant. But let's be honest, he's thriving on the dance floor, so take notes. Next life lesson. Never underestimate the power of self-expression. In this nightclub wonderland, your outfit is your identity, and God help you if it's mismatched. You gaze at the woman strutting confidently in a metallic jumpsuit that could easily double as a reflection for passing planes, and a twinge of envy mixes with admiration. Here, fashion is both a statement and a conversation starter. It's amazing how attire can bring you instant friends, or foes, over the most mundane disputes about glitter allocation. Ever heard of glitter warfare? Well, it's a thing, my friend. You'll want to pick your side carefully. And what about the unspoken code of conduct? On the dance floor, you'll learn quickly that personal space is a luxury no one can afford after 11 p.m. You slide left, someone slides right, and then bam! Disco collision. Suddenly, you're apologising to a stranger while pretending like your foot wasn't the one that tripped them up. A quick lesson in humility. One moment you're gliding like a graceful gazelle, and the next you're both caught in a messy entanglement that should have been reserved for a crime drama. Speaking of dramas, you also pick up on the art of dramatic exits. The dance floor can get intense mentally, and sometimes you just need to put a giant neon arrow over your head, declare yourself done for the night, and make a beeline for the nearest restroom. While on your spontaneous pilgrimage, you can't help but marvel at how everyone else seems caught in the web of their own nightmarish plot lines. Will they dance forever, fade into the background, or end up as tomorrow's gossip fodder? It's remarkable how fleeting these moments are. A reminder that today's disco ball could be tomorrow's asterisk at the bottom of a fun night recap. As the night stretches on, the dance floor morphs into a socio-political lecture hall, where you start to pick up subtle hints about the world practicing hazy social democracy. That one dude trying to initiate a group dance has good intentions, but clearly doesn't grasp that charisma can be just as contagious as a bad hangover. Meanwhile, a sorry sight unfolds in the corner where the designated party pooper sulks, muttering comments about too loud music and not enough cheese sticks. Whatever, man. The dance floor doesn't have room for negativity. You either catch the beat or catch a ride home in defeat. At 2 a.m, you learn the most crucial life lesson of all: embrace the chaos. From accidental makeouts with strangers to whipped cream toppings in hair, every moment spins into the whirlwind of memories that make life worth living. This is the kind of education that can't be found in textbooks or classrooms. It's real, practical, and deeply human. So next time you find yourself tiptoeing back home in a mismatched outfit and a slightly dishevelled hairstyle, remember to cherish those lessons learned among the dance floor hustle. After all, you might end up losing your shoes, but you'll gain priceless stories that sparkle even brighter than those disco balls. Now, what's next? Another drink? Or are we about to start an impromptu dance battle? It's all a part of the life management course you never asked for. 1 minute you're dancing, the next your purse is missing. The lost and founds at nightclubs must be a treasure trove of regrets and random possessions, half-empty lipsticks, feather boas, and maybe even someone's dignity. You contemplate if you should dive into the sea of lost dreams to rescue your own. It's not just about retrieving your belongings, it's about restoring your sense of self-worth amidst a chaotic wave of neon lights and disco beats. Where did you even leave it? Was it the bathroom? Or did you accidentally hand it to a stranger while attempting to impress them with your impressive arm flailing? As you start your frantic search, the first stop is the bar, which is a swirling vortex of slick surfaces and potential regrets. Behind the counter, the bartender is holding a half-empty cocktail and looks as weary as a marathon runner at the finish line. "Excuse me," you call out, trying to channel the confidence of a disco legend. Have you seen a vintage purse with enough sequins to blind a small child? They shake their head with a resigned slowness, as if they've memorised every item that's crossed this bar. After a few deep breaths, you prepare for the worst, the dreaded lost and found area. As you approach the lost and found station, your heart races, almost keeping time with the booming bass still thumping in the background. Here it is, a sacred space resembling a wider than usual closet filled with the remnants of last night's festivities. The treasures that lie before you could rival those in a museum of bad decisions. There's the obligatory collection of sunglasses with scratched lenses, most likely lost in a dance-off. But that doesn't help you, and neither does the broken glow stick lying next to it, a symbol of fading hopes. Rummaging through the bins is more like an archaeological dig than anything akin to a standard quest for a purse. You find miscellaneous items that could populate a bizarre estate sale. A rubber chicken, an empty chip bag clearly discarded after an aggressive session of late-night snacking, and even a lone flip-flop that looks eerily like your friend Carla's. but is most definitely not. "Oh, Carla, where art thou?" you mutter wistfully. This spectacle brings the question to mind. Who in their right mind loses only one shoe? It feels like a mystery that could have its own quiz show segment. As you dig deeper, the other lost items tell their own stories. A glittery bracelet missing more rhinestones than it has, and a half-squashed pizza box that should never have returned from the freedom of the outside world, rest beside what seems to be a high school yearbook, but it is dated 1995. You can't help but picture someone flipping through those pages desperately looking for forgotten times and lost youth amidst the partying adults. Who would have thought this place would also double as a monument to past fashion disasters, you think to yourself. Just when your hope is starting to dwindle, slipping away like a poorly made cocktail, you spot an unmistakable flourish of sequins peeking from beneath a pile of neon leg warmers. Your heart skips a beat. Maybe, just maybe, you found your purse. You pull it out with the same excitement reserved for a child unearthing a long-lost toy. As you hold it in your hands, a moment of triumph washes over you, but it's short-lived. The commitment to hilarity kicks in once you realise that your treasured purse now smells suspiciously like spilled drinks and bad choices. You'll be scrubbing this down with industrial cleaners for sure. In the throes of triumph, you suddenly have an existential crisis. This purse symbolises more than just a personal item. It's a vault of yesterday's hopes, dreams, and that emergency breath mint you stashed away just in case. As you prepare to leave the lost and found area, you catch a glimpse of a gleaming silver flask, clearly abandoned. "Ah, the real treasure," you think, contemplating continuing this wild grasp for nostalgia. Should you give it a new home or leave it to haunt the abyss of regret? The decision becomes a peculiar moral conundrum, a true lesson in nightlife. As you head back onto the dance floor, purse in hand, armed with your winnings and stories, an overwhelming sense of accomplishment envelops you. You can still hear the beats pulsing, people laughing, and the fantastical chaos of the night swirling, all punctuated by your own existential reflection. In this colourful carnival of loss and found, all items gained or lost seem to intertwine within the intricate dance of memories, missteps, and fun. And somehow, that's the wild magic of evenings spent under disco lights, where everything lost feels like a prelude to a new adventure waiting just after dawn. Ever wondered what happens after the main event? Welcome to the after party. As you tumble into a chaotic maze of mismatched socks, leftover snacks, and more questionable beverage choices, you realise that chaos has a way of multiplying exponentially. It's like a mathematical formula you never signed up for. Surrounded by a cacophony of laughter and the distant echo of Disco Inferno, the air is filled with a cocktail of sweat, soda, and spilled secrets. You look around and see an array of half-eaten pizzas, leftover snack chips, and a suspicious-looking punch bowl filled with an unknown blue liquid that painfully reminds you of your high school science project. Let's take stock of the situation. The dance floor has transformed into an obstacle course, littered with transcendent dance moves turned into awkward falls, as friends and strangers alike tumble down like those inflatable, wacky-waving inflatable, arm-flailing tube men. You spy an unbothered cat perched high upon a shelf, casting judgment on the entire scene. What's that saying about cats? They always know how to place themselves in the best viewpoint for maximum judgmental value. Honestly, their disdain for humans might put any social media critic to shame. You scan the room to find your faithful friends, but they're scattered. One's on the couch arguing with a potted plant about the merits of college football. Another is harmonising with the emergency exit sign, softly crooning as if it were a lost love. And right there in the corner, someone's attempting to braid another person's hair while still wearing their disco ball costume. the true embodiment of never stop dressing up. Meanwhile, you're internally battling the consequences of those mystery shots, trying to remember how many you actually downed between dance breaks. Probably more than you're proud to admit. Speaking of consequences, the snacks are another level of chaos. They've taken on a life of their own. The sad little plate of mini hot dogs looks like a farm of discarded dreams. And that bowl of popcorn. Well, now you've discovered the sad truth that someone thought it would be a good idea to spice it up with chili powder. A disastrous decision, and yet here it sits, an unintentional trophy of culinary exploration gone awry, daring attendees to eat it like they're modern-day gladiators. As you wade through the aftermath flood of dance shoes and disco dreams, you come to realise the social structure of the after-party is akin to a preschool class set free in a candy store. There's always that one enthusiastic soul trying to keep spirits high, proclaiming, "It's not a party if no one knows how to make a proper pyramid of solo cups," while everyone else circles the pyramid with nervous anticipation, wondering who will be the first casualty when it inevitably topples over. And, alas, the music still blares. An endless cycle of bass drops and jubilant cries of joy mixed with spontaneous dance-offs. You spot an impromptu talent show taking place in the middle of the room. Someone is passionately reenacting their interpretation of the robot, and next to them, a couple demonstrates an oddly advanced rendition of the Macarena. The energy is electric, and yet you find yourself chucking a stray pork rind into a bowl, symbolising friendship and whatever craziness this night harbours. Eventually, someone cracks open a karaoke machine that has seen better days, and the collective chorus of off-key voices blast through the dimly lit room, unaware that "I will survive" has become a battle cry for self-empowerment instead of a simple sing-along. Comments fly, with ample laughter, aiding each person's attempt to hit those high notes, only to discover that vocal chops have taken a back seat to enthusiasm and eccentricity. As your brain races to comprehend the level of chaos around you, a mathematical thought creeps in. This mixed bag of vibrant absurdity is the true representation of living life on your own terms. After all, what's the point of an after-party if not to review the night's hilarities while simultaneously crafting stories for the ages? To be part of this delightful tapestry of joy and absurdity hanging in the air is nothing short of sublime. Eventually the sun will rise, dragging with it the inevitable awakening of sore heads, blurry eyes, and the realization that your actions last night are now immortalized in the nostalgia of shared laughter. You'll stumble upon old confessions, photographs, and perhaps a stray hairpin that bears witness to the wild tango of joy you swirled into. So as you stand in the aftermath, soaked in the sweet chaos of the night, you can't help but smile, knowing that tonight will become one of those cherished moments, cluttered and unruly, just like life itself. Now where's your shoe? And more importantly, how did it end up in the snack bowl? The sun rises, flare pants have collapsed into shadows, and you realise you're facing the dreaded hangover. Suddenly every loud noise feels like an accusation, and your stomach is racing against time to find some semblance of normal. Good luck! Ever tried hydrating with beer? It's like drinking a gallon of salt water and praying for a miracle. Your brain, apparently their only co-worker, has decided to go on strike, leaving you with the remnants of the previous night's escapades and a vague memory of dancing to disco hits like everything depended on it. Spoiler alert, it didn't. You squint at the sunlight filtering through the curtains like it's a judgmental spotlight exclusively trained on you, reminding you of all your poor choices. Was the disco inferno catching on fire, or was that just your friend's mullet cutting loose? You rub your eyes, producing a heavy cloud of glitter, that looks like it's trying to escape to the nearest exit while you attempt to determine whether the faint thumping in your head is the telltale drumbeat of a lingering hangover or merely the room's suffocating silence indicating you have indeed lost your sanity. The room smells like a tropical fruit salad forgot to leave the soiree, mixing cheap cologne with sweat, body odour and that one drink you inexplicably named the wobbly watermelon. You crawl to the edge of the bed and squint at the various costume pieces draped across the floor. Ah yes, there's your feather boa, and right next to it, a glittery belt that's been fighting for its life since it met your waist. You wonder if they've formed alliances with your dignity, long since evacuated from this impending battle. In the kitchen, your friends have left a merry assortment of takeout containers sprawled beneath suspiciously cheerful party hats. Each leftover slice of pizza and half-empty bottle acts like a beacon of lost hope. You grumble that this is not what you agreed to when you signed up for the high-octane life of the 70s nightlife. As you reach for the pizza, your hand trembles slightly, a clear sign of dehydration, or perhaps just a psychological horror induced by last night's epic dance-off, which you lost to a man wearing roller skates and a poncho. Really, you should have seen it coming. As you take a bite, your brain wails louder than an alarm clock designed by someone afflicted with insatiable optimism. You realise you might need to hydrate. So you reach for the miracle cure-all, a bottle of Gatorade. It's like feeding your parched existence with neon-coloured aspirations. You think to yourself that if electrolytes really do heal, this would be the equivalent of soaking in a pool filled with lemonade. Just as you convince yourself it's worth it, the nausea rises, a reminder that all good decisions come with strings attached. Now comes the inevitable question. Do you muster the energy to get up and brave the outside world, or do you stay cocooned in your own personal little hell? You weigh your options, internally deciding that having a mini fantasy of conquering the world while scrolling through social media in bed is the way to go. Do they need a hero to rescue the remnants of the party for brunch? You contemplate starting your own Instagram page dedicated to the graceful sorrow of hangovers, but first, you must survive this one. Time passes, and as you sit on the kitchen counter, contemplating your life choices, should you get dressed and attempt a hangover-curing breakfast, or should you just assume you will never eat avocado toast again? Doorbells and alarms start ringing. There's talk of going back to the club, of making it a 2-day disco fiesta. You look at your friends, confused and amazed at their ongoing vigour, as if they've tapped into a secret energy source you failed to discover. But deep down, something in you stirs. A flicker of rebellious spirit or sheer stubbornness manifests. You might just power through day 2 in this retro dance marathon. You text, "What's the plan?" only to realise your autocorrect kicked in, and you've somehow sent a cryptic message that reads, "I'm an avocado dancing through existential dread." Your friends find it hilarious and now insist on dubbing you the Avocado Princess. As you prepare to face round 2, you remind yourself that overcoming a hangover is just life's way of testing your surrender and resilience. After all, the 70s are calling, complete with disco balls, laughter, and questionable fashion choices. At the same time, you can't shake the feeling that the real hangover was perhaps the friendships formed on that dance floor, where laughter drowned sorrows and every misstep turned into a part of the glorious chaos you now call your nightly escapades. So with a deep breath, fueled by neon-coloured hydration, you wipe the remnants of last night's shenanigans away, let the revitalisation begin. As you survey the wreckage of your own outfit, you're hit with the undeniable realisation that last night's fashion statement now screams, "What was I thinking?" That once fabulous fringe shirt looks like it has a good chance of starting a fire during breakfast. Beneath the harsh light of morning, every sequined detail glitters like regrets past, scattered across the floor like tiny dizzying reminders of last night's escapades. Did someone really need to wear a shirt that could also serve as a disco ball? You mentally rewind to the moment you confidently declared, "This outfit will turn heads," as your friends nodded, possibly under duress. Even your bell-bottoms, which were a daring choice against the backdrop of a dance floor, now appear more like they're waving white flags of surrender, pleading for mercy. How did they gain so much room? Were they always this baggy? Or did the dance floor magically expand them overnight, just like the size of your hangover? You touch the fabric, noting the mysterious stickiness that betrays the bravado of last night's tequila shots, mixed with a hint of something resembling fruit punch. If spilled drinks were trophies, you'd definitely be in the running for best dressed embarrassment. Rising slowly from the couch that has seemingly absorbed half of your outfit, and possibly your dignity, you navigate the debris of your post-party lair. You try to decipher the complex relationship between your state of dress and last night's delirium. Every colour clash was born from brave creativity or a misguided attempt at being extra. The rainbow of mismatched shoes lying around sends a different message today. One boot, adorned with glitter, announces its presence defiantly, while its twin bears the smudge of someone's foot, a casualty of a dance floor battle that left both fashion and pride in tatters. Stepping into the slightly sticky kitchen feels like stepping into a time warp. The aroma of burnt toast fills the air, reminding you that breakfast is waiting, eager to greet its nearest victim. You stare into a bubbling pot of coffee like it holds all the answers, or at least a strong enough buzz to make the morning feel less like a punishment. As you sip, you wonder what went wrong. Did you underestimate the power of glitter? Should you have consulted a fashion advisor before opting for the statement piece, a term that one might use for either a bold choice or an inarguably terrible mistake? In the waffle iron's light, you can actually see hue-clashing outfits from last night's escapade dancing in your memory. Was that zebra-striped cape necessary? Could you have asked the bouncer for a more forgiving form of judgment rather than waiting for the stifled laughter that followed your entrance? You grimace at the thought of your enthusiastic attempt to start a conga line, which probably devolved into a physical therapy session for everyone involved. Could those awkward moves actually have been the innovative foot-fueled line dance of the century? I mean, your knees still ache. Picking at the remnants of last night, you gather up the pieces of fabric that bared the brunt of your adventures, each item a trophy that tells a story, though you're not entirely sure any of these tales have happy endings. You wonder if anyone will ever write a memoir based solely on this misadventurous outfit. Fringe Fever, the Chronicles of a Disco Survivor, has a nice ring to it, right? Perhaps less emphasis on the shimmer and more on the concept of survival. And then there's the question of hair. Oh, your hair! A once attractive cascade of curls has morphed into a sort of frizzy sculpture that appears to have been terrorized by a particularly powerful wind tunnel. You study yourself in the mirror, suddenly struck by the resemblance your frizzy locks have to a raccoon after a particularly hot shower. Did they actually contain glitter residues from your friend's confetti-themed mixer? Whatever it was, you realise that sprucing up this state of chaos may require more than a brush. You might need to schedule an appointment with a wizard. So here you are. The shocking conclusion of your wild night transformed into a full-fledged lesson in humility. The glitter, the hues, the riotous laughter, they all reflect a cherished, albeit slightly embarrassing moment of youthful exuberance. You survey your battleground and laugh, because in the end, what's style without a bit of chaos? As you conjure up the courage to confront the day ahead, you make a mental note to retire the fringe shirt in favour of something more subdued, perhaps a sturdy tunic. But the glow of spontaneity still tugs at your heart. Today is another day, so go forth, O outrageous fashionista. Wear your stories with pride, just perhaps with less glitter, at least until the next disco adventure. After all, a legend is made in the dance floor glow, not just the sequins one wears. As tales of last night's extravaganza begin to circulate, you realise one key truth: gossip thrives on drama. What started as a simple slip on the dance floor has transformed into an urban legend recounting your so-called disco saviour moment. Did you just become a part of nightlife folklore? Congratulations! Your embarrassing missteps now rival James Brown's most legendary performances. Everyone has their own version of the story, and trust me, they might be stretching the truth faster than you can find a lost shoe. You can almost hear the echoes of exaggerated whispers floating through the club as people reenact your epic fail with more flair than a Broadway musical. Imagine being at the bar nursing a headache when suddenly someone approaches, eyes sparkling like disco balls. "You were amazing last night," they say, as though you just conquered Mount Everest rather than tripping over your own feet. You nod, barely holding back a smile as your new best friend then changes gears. "I heard you single-handedly saved the disco from the brink of doom. Is it true you even shot confetti from your belt buckle?" You try to clarify, but why would you ruin the fun? Let the myth grow. You're practically the hero of a disco epic now. Flash forward to this moment when a new hero enters the scene. Meet Tanya, the self-appointed queen of the dance floor, with a reputation for groove moves that can only be explained as a little help from some irresistible dance medicine. She approaches with a bright smile and you brace yourself. "I saw the whole thing," she declares, flaring her arms as dramatically as someone about to spill some serious tea. She recounts how you leapt into action, literally, taking a tumble that sent you spiralling into a nearby table, like a ballet dancer auditioning for a role in a slapstick comedy. You can't believe your ears as she recounts how you somehow managed to inspire an entire dance breakdown from the very moment you hit the floor. There was a collective gasp, she continues, leaning in closer. You blink, wondering if she's describing you or a baby giraffe taking its first steps on a slick floor. Everyone rallied behind you, and with a cheeky determination, Tanya raises a glass as if conducting an orchestra. "We knew in that moment that anything is possible. Who else would dare show us the real dangers of a Saturday night?" Meanwhile, you can practically hear perception shifting like the lights overhead. Is this how legends are born? With a smidgen of creativity, a pinch of recollection muddled through the kaleidoscope of honesty? If so, you've unwittingly become the ultimate embodiment of 1970s nightlife. A disco ball of chaotic inspiration, reminding everyone why they hit the dance floor in the first place. Soon, the whispers spark discussions about fashion choices made in the haze of late-night revelry. Tanya's outfit from the previous night becomes the talk of the town too, with fantastical claims that the sequins used on her stunning jacket were made from the very stars themselves. Suddenly, peering in the mirror, she's transformed into a celestial goddess as people pit her against other contenders, eager to proclaim their night as more vibrant than hers. You chuckle softly. How brilliant it is to live in a world where bravery can be measured in sparkles and pure whimsy. And of course, as gossip spreads, the wild stories evolve. Do you dare to join in? Or will you cling to the comfort of your semi-reputable existence? You wager that someone in the corner is about to declare that a dance move originated from your fabled fall. Oh, yes, that was the slip and slide invented on that very night. Flattering as it may be, you realise that somewhere in this circle of chaos, the line between fact and fiction has been blurred into something magical, sparkly, and utterly hilarious. As the night winds down and stories continue to intermingle, you marvel at how the gossip turns the mundane into something enchanted. You chuckle at the beauty of chaos, because in this world of lights and laughter, Even the smallest slip can birth an entire legacy of fun, camaraderie, and shared absurdity. Who knew that today would begin with you marvelling at butterflies and perhaps an embarrassing rendezvous with gravity, and end with you basking in the glow of being the centre of nocturnal mythology? Now that's a disco miracle worth dancing about. The sound battle of the century rages on. It's a fight for supremacy among DJs, where old-school legends clash with newcomers trying to make a name. You find yourself caught in between, cheering for your favourite while secretly wishing for a duet that blends their styles into something truly bizarre. The dance floor swells with anticipation, as if someone is about to unveil the secret to life itself. Spoiler alert, it's usually just a killer bass line. The first DJ spins records that shake the very core of the room, his turntables gleaming under the neon lights like a medieval knight preparing for battle. Old-school icon wearing sunglasses indoors, clearly unbothered by the fact that the sun set hours ago, slides into a mix of disco classics. As you bob your head to the pulsating rhythm, the air thick with excitement and sweat, you can't help but wonder how someone could drop a funky beat seamlessly at 120 beats per minute, while probably suffering from chronic back pain and questionable snack choices. And here comes the new kid on the block. With bold neon hair and an eccentric wardrobe that looks like it was cobbled together during a colour blindness awareness event, the newcomer steps up to reclaim the DJ booth. The anxious crowd drags their feet in polite anticipation, holding their drinks up like they're about to toast to yet another era of musical rebellion. The first clash begins, an explosion of sounds that could only be described as auditory gymnastics. Legend starts with a classic Earth, Wind and Fire track, while the newcomer counters with a synthesized remix robust enough to make anyone question their life choices yet again. Why does it feel like they're fighting for your very soul? You cling tighter to your cocktail, wondering if it's still a cocktail after what feels like 3 different mixers and a dash of existential dread. As the beat drops, the crowd erupts, and suddenly you're transported back in time and forward into a parallel universe where everyone dances as if no one was watching, but secretly hopes everyone is. You glance around and there's a woman in a sequined shirt doing the robot, blending in beautifully amongst the cascade of leather and glittered jumpsuits. Is she a time traveller? It's anybody's guess. The newcomer spins another track, this time a remix of ABBA's Dancing Queen, set to a techno beat so hypnotic it makes you question your long-standing aversion to polyester. The duality of the set creates an unholy matrimony that feels like a molten chocolate lava cake with a side of mystery meat. It's indulgent, and you find yourself dipping your toes into the absurdity, whether you want to or not. In a fit of enthusiasm, the crowd pushes closer to the stage like a buoyant wave of disco dreams. Voices merge into one hushed chant, begging for a battle of epic proportions. You feel the room shift as the DJs trade glances that say, "Oh, you want to go there?" Vows of silence along, forgotten as one artist lays claim to a sustained synth melody, while the other demolishes it with frenetic beats that feel as though they should come with a warning label, and maybe a parachute. As the DJ battle kicks into overdrive, nostalgia meets modernity in a beautifully messy explosion. The music oscillates between snippets of classic jams and futuristic beats that could attract the attention of aliens. Suddenly, it's like every awkward high school dance you ever attended is happening simultaneously. The tenderness, the cringe, the sheer joy of letting loose. More importantly, you ponder if anyone has had a proper meal today, or if the energy sustaining them solely derives from the mixture of strong cocktails and sheer will. But just when you think you can't take any more, the crowd collectively gasps. Each DJ quickly shifts into high gear, dropping tracks that lean into such eclectic sounds that you wonder if they're pirating someone else's dreams. It feels like a heart-pounding movie climax where heroes and villains collide, loudly and often awkwardly, leading the captivated audience to sway in rhythm, almost like a single being trapped in a cosmic disco loop. The transcendent magic of nightlife kicks in the longer you stay, and you can't help but entertain the fantasy of being a DJ yourself, crafting multi-layered rhythms that might make the world dance in unison. Clearly your future in music lies directly ahead, until your thoughts hijacked by another unholy remix of Stayin' Alive that suddenly feels like the anthem for existence itself. As the night draws on, the final battle cries resonate through the air, an epic climax leading to an exhilarating finale. Heads bob in synchrony as you recognise the final unification of styles. Applause envelops the room. Everyone is awash in the euphoria of connection, every soul intertwined in laughter, smiles and pure freedom. For a moment, mere dance floors become the true African drums of life, echoing the essence of human experience. As the last notes fade into nothingness, the crowd collectively exhales. It's as if everyone's been holding their breath, caught in the high of dance, emotion, and the thrill of it all. You've ridden the tidal wave of sound and now, hopefully, make your way to a food truck outside that serves something that doesn't come with a hangover. What a night! The DJs may have been battling for supremacy, but ultimately everyone emerged victorious by simply being there, in the moment, grooving and spinning under the vibrant pulse of pure 1970s magic. Amidst the ruckus, you realise there are unwritten rules governing this nocturnal society. Rule number 1, don't hog the dance floor. Rule number 2, know when to fold your cards and head home before embarrassing yourself. There's a fine line between let's get wild and oh no, what happened to my dignity? You glance around, observing the carefully choreographed chaos and the fluid movement of bodies twirling to the thumping bass, and you can't help but think a seminar on etiquette might be the best thing since the last disco hit. The first impromptu lesson comes from Mr. Too Many Drinks, who's somehow managing to perform what can only be described as a hybrid between interpretative dance and ancient mating rituals. You marvel as he spins in circles, arms flailing, narrowly missing your shiny platform shoes, which somehow still seem like a favourable choice compared to what Mr. Too Many has going on. Your foot isn't safe from being taken out by someone's misplaced wave of exuberance, all because he's blissfully unaware of the invisible boundaries of personal space. You resolve to ceremoniously nod your head and step back, hoping to fade back into anonymity, before realising you might just accidentally bump into the bouncer, who clearly would prefer things to be a bit more, well, grounded. Ah, the bouncer. The unsung hero of the nightclub universe. With an air of authority and the build of a refrigerator stuffed with extra sausages, they hold the gateway to the nightlife realm in their hands. Rule number 3. Respect the bouncer. They are not just there to look intimidating. They're your protective barrier against too much tequila and heartbreak. You spot a group of partygoers attempting to charm their way in, only to be met with a shrewd look and the simple, yet devastating, "Not tonight, folks." As they slink away, you vow to never be part of the "I promise it'll be a romantic entrance" attempt again. Now let's talk about the dance moves, shall we? Rule number 4, engage, but not too aggressively. Dancing is an expression of freedom, but it's also a delicate dance of social cues. You want to groove with enthusiasm instead of launching into what feels like a contest for most convincing impersonation of a washing machine. Not that you've ever done that, mind you, but perhaps on a night fueled by nostalgia, you fleetingly consider adopting the stance of a disco queen, arms up and swung wide, until you catch a glimpse of lady who dances with a purse and swiftly decide your dance machine move has serious competition. Then we have the drink etiquette. Oh, where to begin? Rule number 5, share, but not too much. If a friend offers you a sip of their mystical concoction, be wary. There's more than a hint of adventure in this hazy drink, but you're slightly fearful of it being engineered from questionable choices and vibrant colours not often found in nature. You recall someone daring you to down a neon-coloured shot that could quite literally be classified as a highlighter. But what's the etiquette when it comes to declining? A diverting smile and sip from your own safer cocktail is the answer. Now on to the age-old debate of fashion crimes in these flashing lights. What is acceptable versus what stunts on the runway of sheer horror? Rule number 6. Avoid the urge to critique unless you want to end up wearing someone else's drink as a fashion statement. Each gleaming outfit, from glittery bell-bottoms to sequined tops, carries a story, a history of wild nights and wilder choices. You admire the boldness while also secretly questioning if someone dared to wear a full-plate metal jacket. But if they can wear it with confidence, who are you to question? Of course, the grand finale is the after-party etiquette. Rule number 7. Never announce your party plans too loudly. Nothing kills a vibe faster than a mangled invitation to go somewhere best forgotten. You overhear a lively discussion of where to continue the night, and your ears perk up. If they're suggesting a local diner, complete with questionable hygiene and the best nachos, then sign you up. You can't resist the thought of toasting to a night well spent, complete with greasy fries and a side of jokes, where hangovers become mere insignificant nuisances. So there you stand, amidst the swirling ecstasy of the 70s, armed with these vital lessons of etiquette. Armed and ready, you inch closer to the dance floor thinking, it's not just about the moves you make, but how you make them. Dance like no one's watching, while secretly hoping someone is writing your etiquette guide. Because in this wild adventure, there's a fine line between joy and the unexpected hilarity that will be recounted for years to come. The dance floor turns into an accidental boot camp. Are you burning calories or just fiercely attempting to re-establish some level of social grace? As you spin and twirl, this feels like gym class, but with a lot more sequins and none of the athleticism. The bass thumps insistently, pulsating through the floor like a motivational coach yelling at you to keep going, while the disco ball spins overhead like a glittering sphinx, revealing nothing but making each hip swivel feel magically divine. Let's face it, if you could replicate half the energy exerted on the dance floor in an actual gym, you'd be lifting weights like a Kardashian in a protein shake commercial. But here you are, grinding it out with your fellow revelers, wondering if learning the hustle will be the key to a more fulfilling life. Imagine, there you stand, squishing into that dazzling outfit that nearly cost the equivalent of a small car, trying to figure out whether your best move is a half-hearted shimmy or a full-bodied thrust. Both carry risks. And just like gym class, you quickly realise that the person next to you has way better moves, and you might just pull a muscle trying to keep up. The last time you attempted to dance this vigorously was at a wedding 3 years ago. Remember that? You held onto your cousin's shoulder like he was a life raft, praying the DJ switches to Sweet Caroline before you do a faceplant under the table. As you glance around, you notice that your fellow dancers have fully embraced the spirit of the night. Some are moved by the rhythm, while others appear to be in a competitive battle for the title of dance floor MVP. You start to appreciate the artistry of these moves. The moonwalk, the robot, and OMG, is that the running man? It's a rare form of beauty watching someone execute a perfectly timed spin, only to trample on a few toes in the process. It's like witnessing a live performance that could make someone an internet sensation, or land them on hospital watch. Ever thought about how these public dance-offs could probably use a referee? Meanwhile, your feet feel like they have been replaced with bricks, sinking into a quicksand of fatigue. But the beauty of the 70s club scene is all about perseverance. It's not about being the best dancer, it's simply about joining the chaos. You take a moment to catch your breath and think, why am I doing this? The answers range from to impress the cute bartender to let's pray those nachos don't come back to haunt me. As you twirl again, you can feel the party start to solidify around you, like elastic stretching beyond its limits while trying to keep things intact. As you harness the vibe of this night, the lights shift to a foggy purple-red haze. Now everyone is dancing to the same song, a funky anthem celebrating life's absurdity, which feels eerily like part of a collective therapy group. You realise they're not just dancing, they're shedding the burdens of another boring week. Here, in this whirlpool of funky disco and synthetic fibres, people come with stories of heartbreak, joy, and questionable decisions, all dancing together like misfit toys on a bright, irresponsible journey. Amid the boisterous laughter, if someone steps on your shoe, you smile in solidarity instead of frustration. It's a gentle reminder of the unity formed between strangers. They're just as precarious, just as lost, and just as uncoordinated as you. You begin to appreciate the beauty of this shared experience, a lesson in trust and vulnerability, minus the actual trust falls and dodgeball tactics from elementary gym class. As sweat drips down your back, you finally take a moment to embrace the hilarity of it all. Gym class truly prepared you for this magical disaster. The awkward fumbling and triumphs create a tapestry of memories that will outlast the glow of this shimmering oasis. You're learning to dance not only with your feet, but with the sheer audacity of being human, embracing the rhythm of life itself, guided by the quiet hope that through dance you can let the world fall away, even if just for a glorious minute. So as the night wears on, you shake off the judgments of the outside world and indulge in this unconventional exercise, a workout for the soul, a chance to connect with your inner disco ball, shimmering away in bright confidence. Because tomorrow, you might just remember that you survived gym class on the dance floor of the disco, a metaphorical rite of passage where no one cares if you can't do a proper pirouette, as long as you're willing to twirl, stumble, and laugh along the way. As the sun rises and you gather with other survivors, the stories emerge. Those wild moments of bravery, confusion, and sheer whimsy, all told like fables. Every tale holds a lesson, whether it's don't drink mystery shots, or never bet on a dance-off you might actually lose. There's something beautiful about sharing these disastrous and hilarious chronicles that frankly sound more absurd than the parties themselves. Take, for example, the infamous tale of the day disco died. Legend has it that one particularly exuberant reveller, drenched in glitter and overconfidence, decided that the best way to express their prowess was to do the splits right on the dance floor. They executed it with precision until reality kicked in, and the sheer force of their grand presentation coupled with an unyielding floor resulted in a full-on crack of disbelief, and maybe a hamstring or two. The room froze, and in that suspended moment of horror, everyone learned that not every dance move is a good idea, especially when you're trying to impress folks who are busy contemplating if it's too early for a second gin and tonic. Then there was the legendary giant inflatable flamingo incident. This one is told in hushed tones as if it were a secret initiation right into the heart of 1970s revelry. A party-goer, fueled by half a bottle of something sparkly and fruit-flavoured, hatched what they believed to be a brilliant scheme to bring an inflatable flamingo onto the dance floor. What this individual didn't anticipate was that the inflated beast would become a massive attraction in its own right. Throngs of dancers would soon turn the floor into a writhing sea of feathers, laughter echoing as people attempted to navigate the chaos. Little did they know, this moment would end with the flamingo getting popped under the weight of relentless twirls and wobbly booties, resulting in a collective gasp followed by roars of laughter, a vital reminder that party plans can sometimes take a dive, just like that flamingo. But it's not just the humorous stories that matter. There's a wisdom wrapped in the laughter and chaos too. For example, the story of the catch and release serves as a cautionary tale about the very nature of connections during these wild nights out. This tale follows someone who met the love of their life while dancing near a giant disco ball, an encounter that bore all the magic of one of those rom-coms where everything inexplicably works out. The two danced, laughed, and exchanged mischievous glances before agreeing to meet again same time next week. However, next week became next year, and after plenty of sparkling water and half-hearted apologies, one soul realised that connections made under the flickering lights of a dance floor can sometimes disappear into thin air faster than your last drink. Lesson learned: exciting encounters have a habit of floating away if you don't take the time to tether them down before the glow of the lights fades. As you all munch on the questionable selection of post-party snacks, because yes, those leftover pizza slices are now the yin to your hungover yang, the stories blend into their own community experience. Tales of the great bathroom tango pop up. The moment when the restrooms become the scene for social upheaval, complete with elaborate repartees and negotiations over who gets to use the only functioning toilet. It's here that you discover that wingspan can become a crucial negotiation point when it comes to navigating crowded bathroom lines. Who knew that the art of diplomacy was alive and well in the back alleyways of nightlife? But amidst the laughter and chaos, another realization hits. Tales of regret and triumph collapse into a singular truth. This era wasn't just about the dance floor or the cocktails. It was an entire culture wrapped in the ethos of living boldly with abandon. From the tales of ill-advised fashion decisions that made decades-old sentiments resurface like bad memories, to moments of unexpected enlightenment concerning your own identity, these stories illustrate the rich tapestry of experiences that defined a generation. So, as you lean back and sip on an easily salvaged cup of loopy breakfast cocktail, gazing at your ragtag crew, you can't help but smile. Each of these stories is a reminder that life is a mix of dance hits and missed steps, high fives and face palms, leaving you grateful. In a world spinning silently toward technological obsessions, these tales remind us of the simple magic that comes from stepping out into the unknown. And the lessons, well, they might just keep you from accidentally joining a mosh pit at the next disco revival. Unless, of course, you want to do the splits again. As you share stories, someone decides it's time to bring out the fireworks. Because why not? Turbulent sparks fly as laughter mingles with awe. This celebration recalls memories of those whimsically dangerous nights, leading to each dazzling explosion, a testament to living life fully, or at least half-heartedly. The glow of the fireworks reflects off the faces of your friends, who are now probably contemplating how much effort it would take to become full-time stunt performers for the next big Hollywood blockbuster. Because let's face it, if anyone can thread the line between art and chaos, it's a bunch of disco dancers under the influence of zeal and questionable cocktails. You can't help but reminisce about those party nights where dramatic was the name of the game. Remember that wild time when Cliff, ever the optimist, promised, "It's just a small sparkler"? Ah, yes, that ended with a trip to the hospital and a stern lecture from the staff about the usage of invalid firework metaphors. But why dwell on the past when it's so much fun to relive every wild moment through loud laughter and slightly slurred anecdotes? Every firework shot feels like a flashback, sending you hurling into reminiscences, not unlike those cheesy home movies we all secretly love and simultaneously question. Why did I wear that? Speaking of outfits, these fireworks remind you of what it meant to dress up in the 70s. You remember the nights spent poring over outrageous fabrics and bright patterns, far more complex than any camouflage. Is that colour even found in nature, you wonder? The astonishing array of spandex, sequins and flared pants was like wearing a walking art exhibit. Each outfit designed to shout, "Look at me! More than your latest 3-day hangover!" Let's not forget the aerosol hairspray. Did you really have hair or just a flamboyant personality peeking out from behind a wall of lacquer? A particular scene flashes through your memory. The infamous sparkler incident. The group was gathered at Marlene's house, crammed like sardines in a disco can, with anticipation bubbling over as the clock struck midnight. Marlene, channeling her inner diva, declared this the year of the firework, clearly underestimating how many sparks would be aimed at partygoers rather than the sky. There were laughs, sips of sugary drinks, and then pure mayhem as the first firework sputtered, launching itself toward the fruit platter, causing a cascade of flaming strawberries and surprise gasps. What was it about living dangerously that made these nights so iconic? Sure, there was that one unfortunate incident when Jim accidentally lit his mother's vintage tablecloth on fire while attempting to ignite a multifaceted Roman candle. To this day, the remnants of echoed screams and laughter mingle with the scent of burning polyester and fabric softener. But why not laugh? Because for every mishap there were legendary moments, like Betty attempting her snake dance, where she inadvertently created a human chain of confused partygoers, swaying like oversized swatches of fabric, just trying to keep up with the pulse of the night. Fireworks chase memories, and your heart swells as you think about those kaleidoscopic explosions above you, a metaphorical flair for the joy of spontaneity. Friends gathered back then deemed every occasion important enough to bring a little sparkle, and that's what life is all about. Us versus the universe with our confetti cannons, hitting back against daily drudgery with glitter bombs of celebration and laughter. You can picture it now. People jumping in delight, dodging rogue sparks, or simply responding to the occasional firework with exaggerated awe. And who can forget the midnight snack runs, those euphoric dashes to the closest diner, still buzzing with excitement and arguing over the best breakfast foods? Is it weird that bacon makes everything better, including our life choices, you'd ask, as if those greasy fries could somehow erase the boisterous chaos of the night before? The fireworks eventually burst into grand finales, each explosion accompanied by cheers and applause for a performance well done. And as the night quiets, the camaraderie is palpable, the shared experience of joy, absurdity, and all those fire hazards acting as cosmic glue, binding everyone closer together in the lingering smell of gunpowder, laughter, and a questionable amount of stubbornness. It's a lasting testament to lives lived loudly, memories made brighter amid the stars of a disco sky, and proof that nothing quite encapsulates the magic of the 70s nightlife like a well-executed, spontaneous fireworks celebration, especially when accompanied by too many tales of questionable wisdom. The world feels smaller as you remember how this night resembled a global village. You had disco from the US, salsa from Latin America, and some wild-eyed enthusiasm from all over. The cosmic dance of life appears to weave nations together through rhythm. Across borders, we unite, one wild twirl at a time. As the DJ spins his eclectic mix, You're treated to a kaleidoscope of sounds that feels like the United Nations got lost in a dance-off. You glance around and see a faux Cuban conga line twirling through a crowd of bell-bottoms and sequins, a scenario stranger than fiction. Imagine for a moment that the floor transforms into a sort of United Nations of groovin', with funky dancers from every corner of the globe trying not to trip over each other's history while locking steps. The beat reverberates, and you start to wonder if you might learn more about world diplomacy from a disco than a textbook. Suddenly, you'd be discussing treaties over tequila shots, and their equivalent in strutting away from cringe-worthy dance moves. As you shake your hips to a pulsating rhythm that makes you feel like a disco ball yourself, you can't help but notice the Italians busting out the tarantella, while nearby a group of Americans shows off some honest-to-goodness moonwalking. Is that a tourist from Japan mixing the Macarena into a traditional folk dance? Yes, it is, and he's doing it with enough enthusiasm that it might just inspire a cultural exchange program right here on the dance floor. With all the international mingling, you wonder if there's an official event for everyone on that floor, like the Global Review of Regretful Decisions. You flirt with the idea that there should be liaisons stationed at critical spots on the dance floor, perhaps wearing tiny flags of their respective countries, just to help navigate the melting pot of dance styles. You could definitely use a guide for all those surprising turns from the Brazilian samba to the Irish jig. The cocktails keep pouring as you embrace the rhythm of this worldwide affair. Out of the corner of your eye, a glamorous lady hoists her drink into the merriment. Oh, what's this? An overzealous toast. Before you know it, your own attempt to salute becomes a fumbled spill, turning into an unintentional slip and slide for your feet. Suddenly, everyone joins in wildly while you make a panicked recovery, lifting your arms in a dramatic flare that unintentionally leads to an impromptu dance battle. Who knew you had it in you? To your right, two friends, somehow remaining vertical while balanced precariously on teetering platforms, begin a duel, each trying to outdo the other with moves so ludicrous they could be mistaken for interpretive dance. You half wonder if someone will pull out division and remainders to determine the best move. You might even contribute your best shuffling step half dab into the fray. You applaud yourself inwardly, because why wouldn't you be a part of an international dance audit? Every moment feels like the culmination of years of cultural fusion, and yet it dawns on you that this spirited atmosphere could only exist in one place. A nightclub during the outrageous 1970s, its lifelike graffiti framed by flashing lights, and somehow each laugh and cheer feels like a chapter in a shared novel entitled Life the Musical. The rising crescendo of the synths calls out. Your heart races to keep up as you find yourself caught in the flow of joy and connections deeper than any social media platitude ever suggested. The music shifts to a saucy salsa number, and spontaneous pairings twirl together, each step punctuated by laughter and the occasional squeal of "watch my drink." The mixing continues, so vibrant and alive you wonder if this is how the world would feel if dancing were the international language of diplomacy. Countries squabbling over land could unite over rhythm instead, and peace talks might simply involve a well-timed cha-cha and a shared margarita. In this musical tapestry, you feel an unexpected kinship with everyone. The drunken flamboyance on the dance floor isn't just about being seen, it's about affirming your place in this eclectic celebration of life. It becomes clear that in the world of nightlife, individuality gets to shine through as people jointly explore art, culture and humour, one bop at a time. Here, among the clinking glasses and shifting partners, is where you belong. A universal citizen united in the joy and absurd hilarity of a shared human experience, lost in the intoxicating embrace of a world spinning together. It's time to clear the dance floor for another round and perhaps you stumble back to your chair with newfound friendships, battle scars disguised as dance floor adventures, and an overwhelming appreciation for this vibrant cultural phenomenon that gets distilled into echoes of laughter and rhythmic claps. An oddly comforting reminder that although life is a wild ride, there's always a place where we can all groove together, one crazy party at a time. In this wild world of disco lights and pop culture excess, you start to embrace the idea of vibrant mayhem. It dawns on you that maybe the chaos is the charm. The messiness that makes life worth living reminds you to find joy amid the wreckage, the knockdown moments that turn into cherished memories. Picture this: neon signs flicker above your head, announcing the latest happening with promises they can't possibly fulfill. And yet, here you are, dancing as if the floor is both a stage and a safety net. Each misstep leading to laughter that reverberates off the walls. Sounds are layering together like an awkward yet harmonious symphony. The heavy bass of disco tracks is punctuated by spontaneous cheers and out-of-tune sing-alongs, creating a soundscape louder than a toddler throwing a tantrum in a quiet library. Do you feel it? That pulsing rhythm becomes a heartbeat of its own, thrumming through you, echoing the tumult of life outside this enchanted bubble of flashing lights. You can't help but sway to the beat, fully aware that the sunrise is creeping closer, promising an awkward morning after, but also a chance to relive this colourful chapter. As you whirl through the crowd, you spot friends taking on dance battles that soon turn into a friendly game of who can embarrass themselves the most. One brave soul attempts a breakdance move, but their attempt quickly transforms into a series of unfortunate chicken flapping motions. You chuckle, thinking, is this performance art or something we should all be concerned about? A few moments later they're off the ground, albeit for just a second before crashing into a nearby table, sending drinks flying and laughter erupting like it's the best punchline of the night. But wait, is that someone dressed as a disco chicken? Yes it is. That feather-clad beacon of absurdity is strutting their stuff like they've just won a Grammy for ballet. Sure, it's completely out of place in this world of sequins and platform shoes, but it's the highlight of the evening. Can you even remember the last time you saw a disco chicken reigning over a dance floor? This moment is an embodiment of vibrant mayhem, where everyone around you dissolves into waves of laughter. The absurdity fosters a unique kind of camaraderie, reminding you that awkwardness is the universal language of the late night. It's also strangely cathartic. Life rarely hands you a handbook on how to gracefully navigate the messiness. Sometimes, you just need to trip over your own feet to make sense of it all. You realise that this dance floor has become a space where inhibitions evaporate like the morning dew. Memories become woven into the fabric of your socks and the soles of your disco shoes, each step an echo of laughter, a testimony to genuine human connection in all its glorious chaos. The laughter not only bounces off the walls, it transforms into a protective force field around you. This raucous energy reminds you of the lessons not only to celebrate joy, but to embrace vulnerability too. By the end of the night, whether you triumphantly conquer the table dance, however briefly, or simply revel in the jumbled conversations around you, the spirit of vibrant mayhem fills your heart. But then, reality begins to tap you gently on the shoulder as the DJ announces last call. "Don't worry," you shout playfully back at them. "The night is still young." However, that little truth in the back of your mind reminds you about responsibilities that await in the morning. Jobs, errands, the mundane. And as the lights dim, your laughter clashes against the vacuum that now replaces the upbeat music. Yet, even as the floor empties around you, you feel a flicker of hope. The memories forged within this chaotic sphere are indelible. Once this vibrant mayhem fades into nostalgia, The heartbeat of the night will live on in stories shared over coffees on Tuesday afternoons, reminiscing about the daring disco chicken and elaborate dance-offs. So, as you steer yourself towards the exit, perhaps still shaking your hips like you're defying gravity, you have a choice. Embrace the messiness and vibrant chaos looking forward, or simply wipe the glitter from your cheek and return to the predictable. But deep down, you know you've been forever changed, wrapped in the vibrant spirit of mayhem that's now part of your very essence. After all, what is life if not a wild dance with unexpected twists and turns? Reality is knocking, but so is the idea of living without regrets. You start to connect the dots between nightlife and life lessons, the importance of savouring every moment, the idiosyncrasies that make up your story. The time has come to rise, dance, and truly embrace every loud and absurd moment. You glance around at the remnants of last night's festivities, confetti stuck in the carpet, a once vibrant disco ball now coated in a layer of surreal regret, and enough half-drunk cocktails to supply a slightly unhinged brunch. As you peel yourself off the couch, you can't ignore the conviction that this chaotic microcosm of nightlife has a lot more to teach you than simply how to do the hustle or nail a single leg stance while balancing a drink in your hand. There's something to be said for the wild abandon everyone exuded on the dance floor, that intoxicating freedom of a movement, where arms fly and feet stomp, ignoring the laws of gravity and coordination, and life is simply about rhythm and laughter. You have suddenly realised in this moment of haze that maybe all those quirky missteps, whether pulling a shoulder muscle during an impromptu dance-off or accidentally spilling your drink on a stranger, were actually the highlights of the night. In the glaring morning light, moments of clarity emerge from the fog of sequined mayhem. You allow the memories to surface, from faces adorned with bright colours to laughter echoing in the dim-lit corners of the club. The more you think about it, the more you appreciate how absurdly fun it felt to be part of something that was so fleeting. It's like an off-key karaoke performance you know you'll never repeat, but the joy of it lingers long after the spotlight dimmed and the crowd dispersed. You contemplate the rituals of this nightlife ecosystem, the customs crafted over cocktails and soft synth waves that make no logical sense, but, when strung together, create a symphony of living. Every chatter, every clink of glasses, every awkward steal of a dance move is woven into the fabric of camaraderie, like a patchwork quilt stitched together by mismatched patterns, forming a beautiful mess of experiences. Life, just like a night out, is fundamentally about making connections, even if they sometimes feel hazy and slightly regrettable in the morning after. And then there's the beauty of spontaneity, which seems to be the unofficial mantra of nightlife. What kind of shenanigans naturally unfold from one single decision to hit the dance floor? That's the thrill of not overthinking things, akin to the delight in finding a sandwich in the back of your fridge that still has some semblance of freshness. You recall those moments of high-energy requests, the DJ spinning on demand, and how you may have somehow convinced someone to propose a twist on Sweet Caroline that had each gathering at the bar laughing, cringing and singing along, despite the tune hardly ever quite hitting the right notes. The unplanned often turns out to be the most memorable. Amidst this post-party introspection, don't forget the lessons of resilience and tenacity that nightlife embodies. The courage to step out of the comfortable cocoon of routine and into a world filled with unpredictable outcomes. Each step onto the dance floor a testament to your bravery. Sure, you might have tripped over your own 2 feet at least once, and may have even grabbed someone's drink instead of your own, but the underlying joy of being unapologetically yourself in front of a motley crew of characters is the real victory. As you slowly come back to this world, realizing that those wild nights are not just for the young, but for anyone willing to let go, you commit to embracing life more vibrantly. You've come to understand that dancing through life, sometimes literally, can cultivate joy among the messiness of existence. Take the plunge and say yes a little more often. Relinquishing control to embrace the chaos gives life those unexpected sparkles of delight amidst regular routines. So, as you step out into the world, let the lessons of nightlife resonate. Spontaneity, connection, and sincere laughter can infuse your daily life with the same energy that made last night feel electric. Because in the end, at the crossroads of cuisine, cocktails, and clunky dance moves, maybe it isn't just about the parties, it's about celebrating those absurd moments that make life feel like the wildest dance party of them all. As the night fades and the shimmering lights begin to dim, you gather with friends for one last dance, celebrating everything beautiful about living vividly, like the very essence of the 70s. You can't help but wonder, is it the end of an era, or merely a transition into another fabulous chapter where the music never stops? With each nostalgic glance around this chaotic 1970s nightlife scene, you can't help but revel in the beauty of human experience, remembering that even the weirdest moments are what truly shape us. Now, which shoe is yours, and where's the nearest bathroom? The dance floor continues to pulse beneath your feet, a magnificent mosaic of colours flashing like the chaotic kaleidoscope of the past few hours, an eclectic mix of glitter, sweat, and absolutely questionable cologne wafting through the air. You glance down at your outfit, a dazzling ensemble that screams fashion icon one moment, and why did I think this was a good idea the next. The DJ up ahead, a man with more hair gel than most mortals, signals for the last song. Suddenly, a mix of excitement and longing rushes through you, like that last bit of whiskey before the glass is empty. You and your friends huddle closer, fueled by the collective energy that only late-night dance gatherings can infuse into the atmosphere. Each beat reverberates with the stories of the night, a chance encounter, wild dance moves, intimate whispers, issues of love and heartbreak tucked into the crevices of laughter. It's the kind of connection that could easily be marked on something less official, like a napkin or a bar straw, but instead lives rent-free in your heart. As the final notes of Stayin' Alive echo through the club, you realise it's more than just a catchy tune. It's a mantra, a reminder that despite the accidental elbow to the face or the toe-crushing trod on that poor stranger's foot, you are staying alive through it all, desperately trying to avoid an embarrassing caption on tomorrow's Instagram post. What you need is a dramatic send-off, and so you grab your closest friends and crowd into the centre of the dance floor. You might be out of breath, but your determination is bigger than your social anxiety. All at once, everyone is pulling off the moves they've practiced at home in front of the mirror but have kept hidden from the public eye until one fateful night. It feels a bit like a weird flash mob organised by the universe. Expressive spins, awkward salsa steps, and that one friend who insists doing the robot is still a valid dance function in the year of our Lord 1977. You find yourself wondering if anyone looks at these moves and thinks, wow, they sure are living it up. Or, please, someone save them from themselves. With every spin and twirl, laughter bubbles up again, each giggle mixing with the beats, evolving into something like a symphony of life. You exchange knowing glances with friends, silently, declaring this moment a sacred pact of let's make memories we'll never forget, or perhaps can't remember tomorrow. It's an unspoken agreement that whatever regrettable choices arise tonight, be it bad dance moves, or potentially questionable decisions regarding wearing socks with sandals, this is exactly why you came here. But just as you feel yourself soaring in the haze of joy and carefree spirit, reality begins to knock at the door of your imagination. The club is closing. The lights are coming up. and with each pulse of the spotlight, the magic of the night is fracturing like a disco ball hitting the floor. You gather in a huddle, arms thrown around each other, contemplating where the adventure will take you next. Will you venture to that late-night diner where the coffee is suspiciously strong and the jokes are worse, but the warmth of shared laughter makes it feel like home? Or will you relive the evening in a cloud of regret, wondering how you could have gone for that impossibly tempting mystery drink instead? As the last track fades into silence, you feel the warmth linger, a remembrance, a legacy. It's a meld of joy and silliness, fleeting yet wonderfully familiar. Leaving the dance floor, you can't help but smile, heart ticking with excitement and nostalgia. Because come morning, when the world welcomes you back to reality, you will forever carry a piece of the night with you, sparkling like sequins across your memory. And who knows? Maybe your next adventure isn't as far as it seems after all. After all, it's the rhythm of life that's truly exceptional. A playlist that never truly ends, just keeps on remixing.